Hey guys, welcome back to yet another video. In today's video, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be reviewing the latest of the MCU shows and the final MCU product to be released in 2021, which is Hawkeye. So I think I'm in the common majority here when I say that Hawkeye was kind of the show I was least looking forward to. And the main reason for this is I don't really care about Hawkeye as a character. And also, he's kind of a lame character in terms of superpowers. Like, he's just a dude with a bow. Like, meanwhile, you've got Wanda with her reality-destroying powers. You've got Loki and his whole multiverse thing. And then you just have this. And so I wasn't really looking forward to it. The only thing I was kind of excited for going into this show was the fact that it was going to be an MCU Christmas show. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Like, I've never seen a superhero property, or more specifically, I've never seen an MCU property that revolves around like Christmas or any holiday for that matter, really. And so that was kind of interesting. And that's what I was looking forward to, is seeing how they would play with that. And unfortunately, instead of having a good MCU show or a good Christmas show, we kind of just got a meh version of both of them, which was really unfortunate. To start off here, I honestly don't even feel like this is a Christmas show. Basically, it takes place during Christmas, and for the whole time, Clint's trying to get back to his family. But he doesn't, like, that's about it. That's all that it has to do with Christmas. And then they have a whole bunch of Christmas songs in it. That's basically it. It just doesn't feel like an actual Christmas show to me. It's just a show that takes place during Christmas. Kind of like Die Hard is a movie that takes place during Christmas. You wouldn't call that a Christmas movie. I wouldn't call this a Christmas show. In terms of the actual show itself, there was some good stuff. Like, for example, some of the fight scenes were pretty good. In particular, in I think it was episode 3, they have that really cool scene where they've got all the trick arrows and they're in the car, and there was like a long shot. That's probably my favorite action scene in the film. Basically, any time that they were using trick arrows, I enjoyed. Aside from that, there wasn't a whole lot interesting about it. I liked episodes 4 and 5 because those had some interesting twists and they felt like they were leading up to something important. And then at the end of episode 5, they released that Kingpin was going to be the main villain along with Kate's mom. And when we get to actually episode 6 here, I felt that those reveals were anticlimactic and not necessary at all. Because I'm not going to get into too much spoilers here, but I felt Kingpin was just a useless character in the show. Like, we could have totally done without him being the main boss. Like, we could have just had Kate's mom be the one that hired Yelena to kill Clint. But we didn't really need the fact that Kingpin was there. And even we just didn't even need the fact that Kate's mom was a villain, because we already know from the Black Widow end credit scene that Yelena is trying to kill Clint because of the whole Natasha, and I can't remember what that lady's name is, but the lady that was in that movie and the lady that was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I thought that she was the one that sent Yelena, so that kind of confused me. But anyways, both those two villains were pretty useless, and like, they didn't play a big role in the finale, and they didn't play a big role at all in the show in general, so I just don't understand why they had to make those surprise reveals at all. It felt like it was for the purpose of, we want to make some big reveals, but they didn't have anything big to reveal, so there's like, let's just throw Kingpin in here. That's exciting. That'll get the fans excited. And personally, I don't know Kingpin that well. My only experience with the character is when I saw him in Into the Spider-Verse. He was meh in Into the Spider-Verse. He's probably one of the weaker parts of that movie. So I wasn't really looking forward to him, and seeing how he was used in this show, he was kind of lame, and I didn't really like him. And to add on to that, basically in general, I didn't like how the show went. I was expecting it to go a certain way. I wanted it to go a certain way. And this isn't a whole repeat of WandaVision where there was like crazy theories that I was getting behind. This was just what I wanted to happen at the end of the show. Was I wanted Yelena to be the main villain. I thought that would have been cool. But she plays a fairly small role. She does play a fairly big role in episodes 5 and 6 at least, so that's something. And then I was hoping that Hawkeye was going to retire at the end, and I was hoping that he would pass on like the bow or whatever you want to call to Kate Bishop. But that didn't really happen in the show either. They kind of just, it was kind of like, yeah, I'm kind of gonna let her be the next Hawkeye, but at the same time, it wasn't really confirmed. So that just proves how useless this show was. Like this show, I thought the only purpose of the show was gonna be, we're gonna phase Clint out and we're gonna phase Kate in, but they didn't even do that in the show. So the show was just completely useless. At least all the other MCU TV shows had a purpose, like WandaVision. The purpose is to bring in White Vision, to introduce Sword, to introduce the girl with like energy powers. I can't remember her name. It's been so long since I watched that. And to make Wanda, like, make her kind of more evil and give her the new like power set. And then in Falcon Winter Soldier, Bucky gets over all his stuff. He was kind of left to the side. He wasn't really necessary to that show. But then we also get the next Captain America, so that's something big. Loki obviously introduces the idea of the multiverse. And then what does this show do? Literally nothing. Nothing has changed in the MCU. Like, Yelena was evil for a little bit. She's good again. We didn't even need that storyline at all, in my opinion. The only thing we did is we introduced Kate Bishop. She's not actually taking over for Hawkeye. She just exists now. That's the whole sole purpose of this show. And so for that reason, I feel like this show was completely unnecessary. So the last thing I want to say here is kind of in line with what I just said about this show not having a purpose. And that's the fact that all of these MCU shows and all of the MCU movies, with the exception of Endgame, always have post-credit scenes. Like, that's what Marvel's known for, basically. Well, that's one of the things they're known for, is that they always have post-credit scenes. And so this show, I guess, was not an exception to that. It did have a post-credit scene. It had one. Usually there's two in these shows, but there's one. And it was the lamest post-credit scene ever, because it was literally just, this isn't a spoiler because there's nothing important here. It was literally just the musical from the first episode. The musical, which we've already heard the majority of, and they just played it all in full. And I thought that was really stupid and unnecessary and a waste of my time, because first of all, I've already seen that, and second of all, post-credit scenes are setting up future things. You didn't set up anything. I have no idea what they plan to do with Kate Bishop going forward. I have no idea what they plan to do with Hawkeye going forward. I have no idea what they plan to do with Maya going forward. Like, is she going to be a reoccurring character? I don't know, because her storyline wasn't concluded properly. Hawkeye wasn't concluded properly. Kate wasn't concluded properly, and we have no setup for anything going forward with them. So literally, the show, again, going back to my previous point, was useless. It set up Kate, it maybe set up Maya, that's it. The show, it's literally the definition of a filler show. And that's unfortunate, because I do enjoy watching these shows. For the most part, the shows are really entertaining. I like watching them. It's a fun time. I like getting more MCU content. But this show was just a disappointment. I can't even call it a disappointment because I didn't have high expectations, but it's just not a good show. So as I get into the ratings here, in terms of entertainment value, I mean, it was all right. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 for entertainment value. I still enjoyed bits and pieces of it. I did like the relationship between Clint and Kate, especially. And in terms of quality of show, I mean, it wasn't very well made, so I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10 for quality, giving it a total overall rating of 5.5 out of 10. If you're looking for a good superhero show or a good Christmas show, look somewhere else, because this tries to be both. It doesn't do a good job of either, and that's unfortunate because, like I said, Marvel is one of my favorite things. I really enjoy these shows. This was just not one of the good shows, unfortunately. But yeah, that is basically all I have to say today, so hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe down below if you're new around here, and if you want more updates on my videos, make sure to follow me on Instagram at ntd_films. And if you didn't know already, I have a short film titled Repentance, which is coming out probably tomorrow as you guys see this video, so make sure you guys are on the lookout for that. But yeah, that's all I have to say, so thank you guys all for watching. Goodbye.